Castlevania made its American debut in 1987. The vampire hunting saga has since spanned many consoles and several generations, but today we're starting with the roots of Simon Belmont. The gameplay of the classic Castlevania games is a side-scrolling action platformer. Your character is equipped with a whip. Morningstar upgrades are available, which take it from a leather whip to a chain whip, and from a chain whip to a longer chain whip. Hearts are readily available throughout every level, but they're not used to fill up life. No, you pick special items up which are thrown, costing 1 heart each. Turkey legs can be devoured to refill health. You work your way through a series of levels, sometimes featuring a mini-boss at the end of an area, whipping anything that comes in your path. Enemies are somewhat easy to kill, but that makes the game extremely rewarding as you kill baddies and continue to work your way through each section. You feel like a powerful vampire hunter on your way to kill Dracula, but I'm getting ahead of myself. The music is 100% iconic, and even though I'm personally a bigger fan of the third installment in the franchise, several familiar refrains got their start right here in the original Castlevania. Sound effects are satisfying, and even enemies themselves sound just right when being attacked by your whip and other weapons. Graphically, the game stands head and shoulders above many of its peers. While the Castlevania look would be refined in later games, even on the NES, it was well fleshed out from the get-go. Character sprites are an excellent size, everything is easy to identify and see, and every single object fits extremely well into the world you see before you. Despite the fact that we all know this game is about hunting vampires, does the game do anything to clue you into that fact? Well, to be honest, not much. The game has no introduction, and the story in the manual you can see for yourself from the scanned NES Classic manual found on Nintendo's website. The story just fills in the very basics. In fact, I pored over every inch of the box, manual, and even in-game, and I don't find the name Belmont anywhere. It doesn't even use the word Dracula, they just keep referring to the Count. Game developers must have still been running scared after the Universal v Nintendo lawsuit. But wait, I have the solution. Super Castlevania 4 for the Super Nintendo, a game released in 1991. This game isn't much more than a retelling of the original game. It is not a sequel, and it is not the 4th installment, despite being named Super Castlevania 4. Without launching into an entire second review, it will suffice to say that Super Castlevania 4 still has the same brilliant gameplay of the original Castlevania, including almost entirely the same list of items, and many of the same enemies. The music and graphics both got a great overhaul thanks to the power of the new Super Nintendo console. Okay, admittedly some of the improvisational acid jazz doesn't always fit, but speaking of the large, easily identifiable sprites, holy crap, does this game look good! Unfortunately, this game footage is actually captured from the Wii's Virtual Console, and the colors do seem a bit washed out. The manual is also a digital download from Nintendo's website, thanks to the SNES Classic Edition, just as I had done with the original Castlevania. But I mean still, will you just look at this game? You thought HD remixes were new to modern games. Nah, this may have done it first. I'll admit, things like the clock tower levels seem a lot harder in Castlevania 4 than I remember them being in Castlevania 3, but all in all, the game's just an upgraded version of the original. That goes for the story as well. I'll let the intro and the game play in the background while I read the similar text that's found in the manual. Evil lurks in the darkness. In the small country of Transylvania, there is a legend which says that every 100 years, the forces of good mysteriously become weak, and the forces of evil gain a foothold into our world. The evil manifests itself in the form of one of the most feared characters to roam the earth, the vampire Dracula. Every 100 years, Dracula is revived and grows stronger and stronger. His goal is to turn all humanity into creatures of darkness, to be ruled under his iron fist. He has appeared in this world many times, and there are many people who fear that in his next appearance, he may be unstoppable. There is one group that has always been around to see that Dracula is defeated, the Belmont family. For generations, the Belmonts have passed along the secrets and skills of vampire hunting to the eldest child of the family. While many of the Belmonts have lived peaceful lives without encountering Dracula, they remain prepared. There are occasional skirmishes with lesser monsters, but the Belmont clan has always emerged victorious. Now, 100 years have passed since the last battle between Dracula and the Belmonts. Transylvanians are reporting mysterious sightings of odd creatures appearing under the cover of darkness. As spring approaches, the citizens prepare for a traditional celebration. Unbeknownst to them, an evil group of people is holding a ceremony in the old, destroyed abbey outside of town, attempting to revive the Prince of Darkness. As they carry out their ritual, a dark cloud descends over the countryside. The sinister group stirs itself into a frenzy of mysterious chanting and pagan dancing. Then, lightning strikes the abbey. The ground bucks under their feet, and the abbey walls shudder. Once again, Dracula is revived. It is time once again for Simon Belmont to call forth the powers of good to aid him in his battle. Armed with his mystical whip, his courage, and the centuries-old knowledge of Belmont family training, he sets forth on his mission. Yes, there we finally have it. We quickly learn that Simon doesn't battle Dracula over and over, but that this is a retelling of the same events that were in a previous game. Things start to make a lot more sense now that the story is fleshed out. Unfortunately, despite having a more detailed introductive cutscene and a story found in the instruction booklet, the game still suffers from the same thing that the first Castlevania game suffers from. Showing your progression through the castle doesn't do much to tell a story. It doesn't do much to detail the fact that the Belmont clan is a devout family of vampire hunters. It doesn't expound on any detail of the game at all. A map is shown between levels. The rest of the story is just the actual adventure of Simon Belmont traversing the castle, trying to get from point A to point B, and killing everything in his path. The story is told in-game, with no other use of narrative devices, because what story is there to expand upon? You're a vampire hunter, trying to hunt a vampire. You don't have anyone to talk to or anything to say to them. Go do your job. It's not that I'm spoiled by cutscenes and dialogue, it's just that I am looking for a little more. Later games in the franchise got it right, but the original, and by extension Castlevania 4, let's just say they could use a transfusion of our story so far. Hey everybody, thanks for watching episode number 75 of Our Story So Far TV. I'm Garrett, aka New Angel. Feel free to leave a comment below, give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, or a thumbs down if you didn't. Some sort of interaction just helps me know what kind of videos to keep making. If you have more to say than you think goes into a YouTube comment, feel free to send me a message on Twitter, @NewAngel, that's NUANGEL. Every episode of Our Story So Far TV is archived over at ourstorysofar.tv. I always have a new episode of Our Story So Far ready after 2 weeks, and now I'm doing stuff on the off weeks as well, so feel free to come back and see what more this channel has to offer. Maybe even consider subscribing. Until next time, take care of yourself.